One of the biggest lies told in the beauty industry is that expensive makeup looks expensive because of the product. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. And it starts looking cheap the moment the makeup is louder than the face. And the scary part is, makeup doesn't usually start off looking cheap. It becomes cheap looking when there's too many techniques at play at once. The foundation I used for today was one of my favorites, and it is so inexpensive, and that is the e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter glowing booster radiant skin. So amazing. Expensive makeup has visual editing, so instead of correcting something outright, what your makeup is supposed to do, the tasteful thing it's supposed to do, is kind of just edit you, but not change your entire look, because that much editing on a real life moving person is going to always look distasteful in reality. This is not human Photoshop. This is supposed to move with you. This is supposed to have angles, dimension, and outright just taste and intention. The thing about makeup like this is restraint with your makeup brush creates sophistication. This is why you see that woman and you're like, wow, she looks so put together. Everything looks so polished, so nice, because she's not using a lot of anything. She's not taking the brightness to the next level, turning it up several notches that it needs to be turned up. Everything is within reason. Then if you want to take it a further notch, luxury makeup has a focal point. There's always a focal point. Add hierarchy to it, if that makes sense. And I say this because cheap looking makeup, if you notice, it's like they're all the features are trying to compete at once. So you'll have an extremely strong eye, extremely bold lip, extremely blushed out cheeks, extremely structured face, and all that makeup is competing. So the person under the makeup kind of disappears, and all you see is the makeup. The face should always be composed, not crowded. And before I forget, my loves, I'm using my favorite. You guys know, once I find a great product, I usually stick to it. And I think that's something we need to start doing more in the beauty community. Once you find a product that works for you, use it. Don't go buy a billion products, because essentially they all do the same thing. But I've been loving these so much, and these are my tier slide and glide concealers. Amazing. I like the texture, I like the coverage, it's not too much. I even like the tones they have. Really great. And that brings me to my next point, which is too many beauty signals cheapen each other. When you have too many beauty signals going on at once, they will make each other look ridiculous. Like I said, with the lip, having this super bold lip and then turning around and having an extremely bold eye, come on. Like I was saying earlier, expensive beauty has hierarchy. So if we're gonna be doing a bold lip, now the next place you can probably put emphasis on is great facial structure. I personally, if I was gonna be doing a nice bold lip, I would focus on my facial structure being top tier, like everything just having beautiful synergy. I would be focusing on skin glowiness, texture, things like that, and then my lip will be bold, and then my eyes will be played back tremendously. Might add a little bit of blush, but more so I would stay on the bronzier side instead of adding a blush. On the opposite hand of that, if I wanted to do a nice beautiful blush, I would play my lips down, and I might secondly play my eyes just a bit under that. So I would have an extremely blushy look, and then my eyes would be doing a little bit because these are in the same area, so the attention is kind of already in this area, and then I would mute the lips down. And this is how you create like a hierarchy with your face, with your makeup, so your face doesn't really get lost, because that's what happens when we try to do all these things at once. Not every feature should be screaming equally. Pay attention to me. Luxury makeup tends to understand hierarchy. Cheap makeup tries to maximize every feature at once. Also, don't let this fly over your head. That's what anything worth doing, worth having, worth experiencing. When something tries to maximize in a very short a period of time, you can almost be guaranteed it's not an item of quality, and there wasn't like a lot of thought or effort put into it, versus something that's more maybe simpler but is of more quality. There's a hierarchy, there's a amount of time or effort put into something that is of more quality. Understand that more is not always more. In a lot of cases, actually, less is more. To my next point, overcorrection. I know we're in this era of people wanting to be perfect, but I honestly feel like we're nicely easing out of it, and am I excited about it? Overcorrecting can have the opposite effect in which you think it should have with your makeup and your look. So overcorrecting can actually cheapen your look quite easily, and here's why. It's not natural for something to have no texture. As human beings, as women, as people walking around, it is not natural for something to have no texture. It is not natural for you to be overly matte. In most cases, dryness equates to lack of hydration. So being overly matte is not your friend. Now, if you so happen to be an oily girl and you know, over time of you know, being out and about, your skin is going to become increasingly oily, doing that matte look may serve you. I don't want to say it won't serve people, but for the most part, psychologically, people think glowy skin, shiny skin equates to health, youth, and vitality. Well, things like too much contour will literally create a forced definition that will end up not even looking like definition at all. So if you are a person with a softer face, and when I say softer face, I mean rounder, a face that lacks angularity, when you try to create angularity, what will happen is it doesn't create the angularity, because the angularity has to be there already to create more angularity. The more softness in the face that you have, trying to create a harsh angular look will end up only resulting in like a dark streaky mud that doesn't resemble angularity or contour, so to speak, in the face. It just looks like you put just some brown stuff on your face. And listen, it might even show up decent on camera, but I'm telling you, in reality, because the angle isn't there, it will just look like a dark streak in the face. I promise. This is why I made the video, you can't pull it off. And I speak about things like contrast, I speak about things like features, roundness, sharpness, angularity in the face, and who can do what, and how much makeup can be held within certain faces. Check out some of my videos. I speak about that in my videos, just because it's sometimes hard to understand, because you look at other people's faces and you think, wow, so amazing, so beautiful, but then you forget that you might not have the same shape as that person's face. So what works for their face and works for your face, completely different. And it's okay to want to have the same effects as somebody else, but what would get you there can be completely different from what will get me there or get the next person there. You get me? So really look into my videos. I promise you guys won't regret it. And then this is one, I feel like you guys are going to be so funny with me talking about overlining your lips. Now, lips are so interesting because the liner that we have deemed as most popular is a stark brown to black lip liner, and it can be very beautiful and very unique, but it turns very distasteful, I feel like, only because the lip liner itself is more so supposed to bring definition, not so just be a stark line on the lips. Here's the visual difference. Instead of doing that liner so heavily, we're gonna put the liner, and it's a little stark, but we're gonna take this opposite side. It has a smudging side, and we're going to smudge it out, and this creates a nice definition. Even though this definition is still a bit dark, it's a lot more tasteful than just that stark lip liner. I don't think enlarging your lips per se is ever really supposed to be the goal, but just making them look a little bit more pouty and maybe give a little bit of definition should really be the goal with a lip liner, not so much just adding darkness and a border to the lip. So instead of my lips just being harshly bordered by this lip liner, it ends up giving me a little bit more definition in the lips. It adds that shadow. It's really supposed to cast a shadow to give an illusion of more of a pouty lip. The next thing people do, which I'm going to do, is they over powder and add translucent powders and setting powders. One of my favorite techniques is the powdering of specific areas, because I'm a person that loves to keep the luminosity in the face. I like my skin to look like skin. I like my skin to have a bit of texture. So what I like to do is taking setting powder in a little thing like this and taking a good brush to spot set instead of taking a whole powder puff. I'm gonna do this way this side. And this is an easy way to get that skin-like foundation look without not being able to set your face, making sure it doesn't move. You only set the places you don't want your makeup to move or you don't want luminosity in the face. And me personally, I wouldn't say there's too much of a difference except precision. You can precisely place where you want powder, and this just takes up a bit more room. Let's do this under the eye. There's not much of a difference. Like on this side, you can see a bit more luminosity in the face, and in this side, it's not as luminosity. It's a pretty sheen, but not as luminous as this side. The more your makeup tries to fight reality, the cheaper the makeup look becomes. Untouched skin creates the idea of realism. When the skin looks untouched, or it looks like you didn't do too much to your skin, it's creating realness even though it's curated, which just beautifies you. It doesn't make someone think you're trying too hard, you're doing too much. It doesn't take away from your beauty. It actually just enhances or beautifies you in reality. When your makeup is soft, your contour is properly blended, things are balanced, it creates elegance in your makeup. Psychologically, we know that no one's perfect. So just leaving a flaw, we're able to see a mole, see an acne, see a scar through your makeup creates beauty still. It adds to your beauty because you're enhancing your beauty, yes, but you're keeping what makes you human. You're keeping what makes it real, believable beauty. We know no one's perfect. No one has extremely perfect skin. This is what makes the beauty so believable. Expensive beauty, expensive makeup rarely looks overworked. If anything, it has a laxness to it. It has a essence of not caring and just being effortless. What makes makeup luxurious is usually centered around what a person chooses not to do. Some of you may think I'm teaching you beauty, but I'm not. I'm actually teaching you the difference between refinement and transformation. Anyone can transform their face and their makeup, but it takes a certain type of eye and restraint to teach refinement. And that takes a lot of knowledge, more knowledge than people care to admit. Because they'll say, oh, well, you're barely wearing any makeup, but it's like, no, you can see it. It is something that's so visible within a woman. It's the woman you think is effortless, but you still find her extremely stunning and attractive when she did work. The thing is, you can't tell if it's curated or not. You can't tell because it doesn't look like she's wearing a mask. It looks inherently like her. And that is the beauty of really well done makeup. Goes right along with elegance. Elegance versus performative makeup. What I was talking about with the lip liner, to me that's a very performative style makeup. I don't want to get into the cultural part of it, because I don't think it really has anything to do with cultural appropriation in a sense, but I think what we as certain cultures do to help makeup look more natural and curated to us, the next person will do it and they will not look as appropriate wearing it because it just doesn't fit their cultural standing, and they'll end up doing it because it's a trend, not because it actually looks good on them. That's when looks go from being intentional to excessive, extremely excessive, and that's what we want to stay away from, because there is very much so a difference between polish and intense. Polish doesn't need a lot of intensity, and then the intensity falls in the right places. Expensive beauty usually isn't trying to prove itself. That's why it looks so effortless. Alrighty, my love, so this is the final look. I love it. I feel like my hair is a lot right now, so makeup looks like these really give me a sense of control with my face and my look, so I really like playing it down a lot and just picking one area that I want to kind of like emphasize a little bit. But yeah, ever felt like your makeup somehow looked worse the more you've added? That's exactly what this video is about. So if this video helped you in any way, do not forget to like and subscribe, as well as give me a hype. It really helps my channel get to people that may need this type of advice or help or just outlook on beauty, because this channel is really about understanding beauty beyond trends. So I cannot wait to see you guys in my next video, but until then, I love you guys. Bye.